Hello and welcome to Clown World. Today we encounter the Bretosaurus, a declining species communicating loudly from captivity, still attempting to explain how it wandered into this enclosure. We'll observe the calls, dismiss the ritualist posturing, and study this particularly rare behavior, active self-incrimination. Fascinatingly, the Bretosaurus appears to be narrating its own downfall, and given a long history of previous encounters with the law, this display may result in a sentence measured not in years, but in decades. Now then, let's observe.
Welcome to Clown World, ladies and gentlemen.
So, what's happening? Me, Big Brett here.
Thanks, Sir Dave, and welcome back to the channel, guys. Today we're looking at Brett May's latest interview, cutting through the noise and breaking down just how much trouble he may actually be in. For full context, the complete interview is over on Not Guilty TV. There's a link to the channel in the description. Now then, let's see what's really going on.
Basically, there was a well-known fight what happened in Skegness at Butlins, where I fought the giant, Garen Ray. Yeah, what can I say on that matter? So basically, I believe he's going into the witness protection program on a six-figure blackmail charge, what they've got on demand for, which obviously I'm totally innocent, by the way, because he's prejudiced after I beat him on the fight. That happened in Selby in Doncaster, where they put me around all the papers for blackmail. Had about 20 armed response, raided about 7 addresses for me. They've ended up putting the gun to me up at an address in Doncaster, locked me up, and then sent me, up here into Hull and trying to basically nail me. So
he's asked why he's locked up and opens with blackmail and witness intimidation. No, allegedly. No hedging, no self-awareness. Just 2 serious charges delivered with the serene confidence of a man who has rehearsed this line so often it now sounds like autobiography. He says it like he's explaining a delayed Amazon parcel. Calm, comfortable, almost proud. The tone of someone who cannot tell the difference between telling a story and explaining why the court system has him boxed in. Armed response: do not kick doors in because someone feels hard done by. They do not roll 7 addresses over vibes. They do it when the evidence is already overwhelming and the story no longer matters. Then, right on cue, comes the ritual phrase. I'm totally innocent, by the way. Always, by the way. Never the headline. Dropped at the end, as if it might cancel everything just said out loud. What's happening here is obvious. He believes that if he talks long enough and confidently enough, reality will retreat. But reality isn't confused, it's waiting. This isn't a defense, it's cognitive collapse at speaking volume. A man trying to out-talk evidence, out-dramatize charges, and bluff past consequences he does not understand. And the funniest part? He sounds genuinely baffled that none of this is working. Because in his head, he isn't explaining why he's in prison. He's the heroic main character, unfairly persecuted by facts, evidence, and a justice system that refuses to play along.
Big lad, 6'9", 6'10". Danny Christie did a review on it, on the fight, and so did multiple other people. It shows you how I broke his jaw round 1. And after that, it went a bit sour and bitter. Now, he's obviously must have told the CID that he must have done some business with me or whatever. I'm not too sure. It's gone sour. So the police have come and locked me up on a 6-figure blackmail, and
The interviewer asks if he was a law-abiding citizen or a criminal. A simple question. So Brett immediately starts talking about how tall the bloke was, who reviewed the fight, and how quick he broke his jaw. That's not an answer. That's a highlight reel. Whenever Brett is asked something legal, he retreats straight into violence and nostalgia. Height, strength, round 1, reviews. It's like shaking a snow globe full of ego and hoping the question disappears. Then it all goes sour. A wonderfully vague phrase, doing all the work. No cause, no timeline, just vibes. In Brett's world, things never escalate. They simply go sour, like milk left out by fate. And then comes the remarkable part. He says the other man must have told CID that he'd done some business with him, or whatever. That is not a denial. That is a shrug disguised as an explanation. or whatever is doing Olympic-level legal gymnastics here. He casually acknowledges prior business with a witness, then hopes vagueness will magic it away. It doesn't. It sharpens it. And finally, the conclusion. So the police locked me up on a 6-figure blackmail. No explanation, no innocence, no disbelief. Just fight stories, business, CID, and charges, delivered like an inconvenience. This isn't a defense, it's a man confidently narrating his own charging document while sounding genuinely surprised that the police were listening.
Yeah, not guilty all the way. It really surprised me, to be fair. Obviously, he's done a video recorded interview where you know yourself, where it's your legal right to get someone's debts, and I've got all the debts in front of me where he's turned around saying that he's gone to an address in Selby to a lad who I know called Curtis. Curtis has told the police nothing's happened whatsoever. He's a mutual friend of his, mutual friend of mine. But Garen's saying he's been blocked in, he's had a 9mm pistol put to his head. He's been told, listen, if the money don't come here, you're going to get shot down, all this and that.
The interviewer asks where this all stems from and whether Garen is just telling on Brett to save himself. Brett opens with not guilty all the way, which is always reassuring when it's immediately followed by a detailed retelling of the prosecution's case. He says he's got the debts in front of him, but this doesn't sound like someone reading paperwork. It sounds like pure recall, because the idea of Brett calmly reading legal documents is about as believable as a toddler finishing War and Peace. This is memory, not reference. What follows is a fluent reenactment of a recorded interview. Selby, a mutual friend, a blocked-in car, a 9mm pistol, a gun to the head, a threat over money. That's not a denial. That's story time, delivered with worrying confidence. Then comes the part Brett doesn't think through. If the prosecution use his own social media in court, this is exactly what they'll see. This is how he talks. This is how he frames events. The same man who's filmed himself posturing, making violent threats, and waving firearms at the camera. So when Brett calmly recites allegations involving guns and intimidation, it doesn't sound shocking. It sounds consistent. He even reassures us that Curtis says nothing happened. Fine, Curtis isn't the issue. The recorded interview is, and Brett is now helpfully advertising it, this isn't the moment where an innocent man stops talking. This is the moment where Brett leans in, adds detail, and quietly does the prosecution a favor. He doesn't sound confused. He sounds comfortable. And that tells you almost everything you need to know.
And that's so Armed Response have took it really serious. They've been really looking for a way, like, I thought they were going to try and shoot me at one point. They were itching on trigger fingers. They raided everywhere. No firearms been found. So really it's catch-22. So the initial arrest for firearms were intent to endanger life and blackmail, but firearms have been dropped now due to negative searches. So it's one of them. Garen's left the Selby area, Campbellsworth, and all the other areas, I believe, and he's getting safeguarded now in hotels in the witness protection program with the CID.
Let's reset this properly. Given Brett's long-cultivated wannabe gangster persona and a history littered with violence and threats, armed police turning up is not shocking. That's procedure. That's risk management. That's what happens when you spend years trying to look dangerous. But the claim that Armed Response were itching to shoot him is absolute nonsense. That's Brett doing what Brett always does, taking standard police procedure and reframing it as persecution, playing the feared gangster and the hard-done-by victim at the same time. It's fantasy cosplay. If armed police were genuinely desperate to shoot you, you wouldn't be calmly recounting it on a phone. You'd be silent, lawyered up, and choosing every word carefully, not narrating it like a war story. Then he proudly tells us no firearms were found, as if that proves anything beyond the searches coming back negative. It doesn't erase allegations. It doesn't undo threats. It just means nothing was located on that particular day. And then the contradiction lands. While Brett downplays everything as one of them, he casually explains that the other man is being safeguarded, moved between locations, housed in hotels, and placed into witness protection with CID. You do not get that level of protection because of exaggeration. You get it when police believe a witness is at genuine risk. That's the part Brett keeps saying out loud while insisting nothing serious is happening. So once again, Brett tries to shrink the situation while inflating it. He wants to be the feared gangster and the innocent victim. He wants the police to be incompetent and terrifying. He wants the case to be nothing and proof of his importance. This isn't explanation. It's ego management. And just like before, every attempt to make himself look hard done by ends up confirming how seriously the authorities are actually taking this.
So I've obviously got to be careful with my words. So basically, I don't want anyone to think this is any way intimidation, because it isn't. It's my legal right to see who's put evidence against me, and I've got that in paperwork, and I'm not asking anyone to do anything to him direct or indirectly, even if they see him at the other end of the country in his witness protection program. But yeah, as far as criminals go, he was in jail with me 10 years ago. It's safe to say he's gone super grass. He's grassed other fellas up. He told the CID they were scared of me, so they had no choice to set him up, all this and that. And that's it really, yeah.
Oh, this is Blackmail here speaking. This goes out to the two wrong-uns, Decoregi Pole Authority.
The interviewer asks whether Guerin will stand up in court against him, and Brett immediately panics out loud. Before answering anything, he announces he has to be careful with his words. That's never reassuring. That's the verbal seatbelt going on after the crash. Then comes the standout line. I'm not asking anyone to do anything to him, which is extraordinary because nobody suggested he was. In legal terms, that's not reassurance, that's exposure. It's an anticipatory denial, and courts tend to notice those. He even adds, directly or indirectly, and mentions people seeing the man at the other end of the country in witness protection. That isn't caution, that's fixation. He's mapping distance and proximity while insisting he's not interested. This interview is doing him no favors. Every disclaimer he adds only draws more attention to the exact thing he claims he isn't doing. He thinks words like legal right and paperwork act as a shield. They don't. They act like a highlighter. Then, just to really help the prosecution, he labels the witness a supergrass, explains prison history, names other people, and claims they were set up because they were scared of him. Notice the contradiction. He denies intimidation while stressing how feared he is. That isn't a defense. That's self-sabotage. He's denying pressure while repeatedly describing an environment of fear. He thinks disclaimers neutralize consequences. They don't. They underline intent. This interview can only damage his case. It adds nothing and clarifies nothing. It simply records how Brett behaves under pressure. Not careful, not strategic, just talking. And the most worrying part isn't malice, it's awareness. He seems genuinely unaware of how bad this sounds. Not clever, not calculated, just very slow, narrating himself deeper into trouble, one disclaimer at a time.
You know how they are. Rumours are rumours, my mate. You get me? The security on here and the police, I mean, the staff, they're all on me, mate. Pal, to be fair with you, mate, there's some things I'll have to keep blank, and they're always getting moved about up and about, mate, but he's double cat, ain't he? You get me? I'm just training as hard as I can, getting myself in best shape as I can, but jail's jail, innit, pal? You know the score, don't you?
Yeah, what's up?
The interviewer then asks about the rumor that Brett battered infamous prisoner Dale Cregan. What's interesting here is what Brett doesn't do. He neither confirms it nor denies it, which immediately tells you more than any straight answer ever could. And we all know why. Saying no would shut the rumor down instantly, but it would also puncture the hard man mythology. So instead, he leaves it hanging, letting the audience do the work for him. Image management always comes before clarity. At Clown World, we'll be clear. We genuinely wish Brett all the best, and we hope this case collapses. From the outside, it appears heavily reliant on one witness, Guerin the Giant, and there's a real chance he never testifies. It looks less like some grand criminal conspiracy and more like a dodgy deal gone wrong, followed by a rapid dash to the police for protection. That interpretation fits the timeline far better than the dramatic version being implied. That said, Brett's history does him no favors. Previous guilty findings have a habit of resurfacing at the worst possible moment, and that's what makes this genuinely serious. This could still end very badly for him, but let's have it right. The dark side needs Brett. He's a legendary character, and the ecosystem is poorer without him. Whether you like him or not, he brings chaos, energy, and endless content. For the full interview, the link to the channel is in the description. Not Guilty TV has some genuinely interesting content, and it's worth watching in full. Until next time, guys, stay safe out there.
Are you Why the fuck are you all that far? Help me, mate. No one told that about. Jay, move out the way, Jay. Please. Go. Miles away. You're watching this, I'm watching. Yeah, you're Ready, boys! Ready, man! Come on, boys!